you're staring at a screen, trying to automate something simple. Maybe scrape some data, build a quick dashboard. You're not a developer, but you've heard AI can write code now. So you open GitHub Copilot. You type a comment describing what you want, and it suggests one line. Then you have to figure out the next part yourself, and the next. It's helpful, but it's not writing your code for you. You're still the developer, and that's a problem when you're not one. But here's what's changed. A new generation of AI coding tools doesn't just suggest code. It writes entire features. It debugs problems. It refactors your whole project. They call it agentic coding. The AI doesn't wait for your instructions line by line. It takes your goal and works toward it autonomously. Like having a junior developer on call. And developers, real professional developers, are banning the tool that dominated for years. They're switching in droves. The question is, why? And more importantly for you, should people who aren't developers care about any of this? Let's find out. First, some quick context. GitHub Copilot launched in 2021 as an AI pair programmer. It worked inside your existing code editor, VS Code, mostly, and suggested code as you typed. Think of it like autocomplete on steroids. You start typing a function, and it predicts what you're trying to write. Then you hit Tab to accept. It was genuinely impressive for 2021. But here's what it couldn't do. Understand your entire codebase. See the big picture. Work across multiple files at once. If you wanted to build a feature that touched 10 different files, Copilot would help with each file individually. But you had to orchestrate everything yourself. That's where the new players come in. Cursor, Windsurf. These aren't plugins that bolt onto your editor. They're entirely new editors built from scratch around AI. They were designed from day one to understand your entire project, every file, every dependency, every pattern in your code. The AI sees what you see. And the market has noticed. According to Codance analysis, Cursor crossed $1 billion in annual recurring revenue in under 2 years. That's extraordinarily fast growth. Meanwhile, GitHub Copilot hit 4.7 million paid subscribers and 90% adoption among Fortune 100 companies. The incumbent isn't dead, far from it. But here's where it gets interesting. According to Daily Dev, VS Code plus Copilot still controls 42% of the AI coding market, a market now worth over $7 billion. That's a lot of money at stake, and the new players are taking bites out of it. Windsurf's story is particularly wild. They ranked #1 in LogRocket's AI DevTool Power Rankings in February 2026. Then, according to Codant, Cognition acquired Windsurf for $250 million after Google poached its founding team for $2.4 billion. Wild times. So what's actually different about these tools? Why would someone paying $20 a month for Copilot switch to Cursor at $60 a month or more? The answer is something called agentic capabilities. Instead of suggesting one line at a time, these tools can plan and execute multi-step coding tasks across your entire project. PE Collective's hands-on comparison found Cursor achieves a 71% task completion rate. That means you describe a coding task, and 7 times out of 10, it just does it. In April 2026, Cursor shipped version 3 with something called the Agents window. It lets you run multiple AI agents in parallel, one debugging, one writing tests, one refactoring. Think about that for a second. You describe a feature you want. Multiple AI systems start working on different aspects simultaneously. They coordinate. They check each other's work. GitHub noticed. According to Daily Dev, Copilot debuted its own agent mode in January 2026, playing catch-up to features Cursor had pioneered months earlier. So the tools are converging. Copilot is adding agentic features. Cursor and Windsurf are maturing, but there's still a real difference in philosophy. According to Codant, Cursor wins on agentic coding while Copilot wins on enterprise compliance. Different strengths for different users. Big companies care about security audits, compliance certifications, and integration with existing enterprise tools. Copilot has years of trust built with IT departments. Individual developers and startups care about raw capability. Can this tool actually build what I'm trying to build? Cursor tends to win that comparison. According to Stack Overflow's survey data presented at Developer Week 2026, 84% of developers are using or planning to use AI tools. More than half use them daily. 51% of professional developers now use AI coding tools daily, according to the same Stack Overflow research. That's a majority. Daily use. This isn't early adoption anymore. This is the new normal. And for non-developers watching this, that shift matters, because it signals where all software is headed. So here's what this means for you. If you've ever wanted to automate something but thought you couldn't because you don't code, it might be worth reconsidering. These agentic tools can turn a plain language description into working code, not always perfectly, but often enough to get you started on small automation projects. PE Collective's analysis notes Windsurf offers roughly 80% of Cursor's capability at 75% of the price. Budget-conscious users have options. For reference, Cursor pricing runs from $60 to $200 monthly depending on tier, according to PE Collective. Copilot remains cheaper at $10 to $19. But here's something important. Price isn't the full story. A tool that saves you 5 hours a week might be worth $200 a month, or worthless if you never learn to use it. DigitalOcean's analysis puts it well. Developers are gravitating toward tools that deliver more per token, better context management, fewer retries, stronger first attempts. In other words, it's not just about AI writing code. It's about AI writing the right code on the first try, understanding what you actually meant, not what you literally said. If you're currently using GitHub Copilot, you might want to try Cursor's free tier. Experience the difference between autocomplete and agentic coding firsthand. For non-programmers curious about coding, these tools genuinely lower the barrier. Consider starting with a small automation project, something that would save you 30 minutes a week. Maybe it's renaming files in a certain pattern. Maybe it's pulling data from one spreadsheet into another. Maybe it's sending yourself a reminder based on calendar events. If you manage developers, it may help to understand that tool choice significantly impacts productivity. The standard corporate option might not be the best one for your team. A developer working with the right AI tool might ship features twice as fast, or they might get frustrated with a poorly chosen tool and spend hours fighting it instead of building. Windsurf offers strong JetBrains IDE integration, according to PE Collective, important if your team already uses IntelliJ or WebStorm rather than VS Code. The broader trend here is what matters most. AI tools are moving from assistants that help you work to agents that work alongside you, or sometimes instead of you. Coding is just the canary in the coal mine. What's happening with Cursor and Windsurf will happen in design tools, writing tools, data analysis tools, everywhere. Watch for these agentic capabilities coming to software you already use. By 2027, most productivity tools will have some form of AI that doesn't just suggest, it executes. That means understanding how these tools work, their limitations, their strengths, becomes important even if you never write a line of code yourself. The tools aren't perfect. Cursor's 71% success rate means nearly 3 in 10 tasks need human intervention, according to PE Collective's testing. Complex business logic still needs human oversight. The AI might write code that works but doesn't quite match your actual requirements. Edge cases get missed. And there's legitimate concern about vendor lock-in. Build your whole workflow around Cursor and switching later becomes painful. Some developers argue you should use standard tools and let the AI come to you. Copilot's approach of augmenting VS Code rather than replacing it entirely. Here's a practical recommendation. If you're technical, try both approaches. Spend a week with Cursor, a week with Copilot. See which fits your brain. If you're not technical but curious, Cursor's natural language interface is surprisingly approachable. Describe what you want in plain English and see what happens. The worst outcome is you learn something about how these tools work. The best outcome is you automate a tedious task you've been doing manually for years. If this kind of thing interests you, practical takes on which AI tools actually work, consider subscribing. We cover stories like this every week. No hype, just real assessments. The AI coding editor war isn't really about code editors. It's about a fundamental shift in how humans and AI work together. Autocomplete versus autonomous. Suggestion versus execution. The tools that win will be the ones that get this balance right. Helpful without being overwhelming. Capable without being unreliable. Present without being intrusive. For now, developers are voting with their wallets. $1 billion flowing to Cursor says something about what professional coders want from their tools. But GitHub has resources, enterprise relationships, and a head start in trust. The race isn't over. It's barely begun. What matters is this. You now have options, real options. And understanding those options is the first step to making technology work for you, not the other way around.